at the end of the day, that's what relatability is. And the broad strokes of it is, how am I showing up? How am I showing up in a way that people can actually see who I am? How am I showing up and allowing this mask of perfection to just let it go? And I know we talk about authenticity a lot, and I swear it's a buzzword that most people want to die, but at the same time, it's showing up as our real selves, but then it's also, how are we being present? And I think there's just an intentionality to what we can be and who we can be when we're looking to make those connections. And for me, that's what relatability is as a whole, is having intentionality in how we show up and making sure that we're showing up with our full self, and then also supporting the person in front of you. Because half the time people are like, I'm introverted, or I don't want to share too much about myself, or I don't know what questions to ask, or I don't know how to be. And sometimes you don't even have to be anything except for present. And so how can you even use that? And I think there's so many baby steps. That's the beauty of it. And these are all in that first book, where it's pick one, which is pick one and see how that starts to shift things. And then maybe add on like a recipe, and then see where you end up.
Like some examples, can you give us?
Sure. And honestly, one of my favorite ones, and I talk about this in both books, is curious listening, is where when you are intentionally connecting with someone, and instead of just listening to reply or to ask the next question, getting really curious about someone else. And even for my introverts, where it's difficult to sometimes put yourself out there, it's less difficult to pay attention to somebody and say, Jen, what's going on? And, oh, tell me more about the art of badassery, or tell me more about where you live or what you like to do, and get the other person talking. Because the research shows time and time again, the person who's speaking the most in a conversation actually ranks at the highest. So you don't even have to talk, you barely have to say anything. So I think it's such a hack for anyone to say, next conversation you have, don't talk as much. Ask a question.
Wow.
What are you doing this weekend?
So
Yeah.
brilliant. And I think you said 3 words that I just want to point out, which is tell me more. That right
Yes.
there is such a beautiful way to, again, just shut your mouth, pull information out of the person, whether you're in sales. So this is great for salespeople. It's great for dating. It's literally great for any type of relationship you're trying to build, right?
I've never seen this not work. I've never seen it, because as you and I both know, and just because we're more on this professional and self-development side of life, people want to be seen and heard. They want people to witness them. And what better way to do that than to pay attention to what they're saying and be invested in it? Because that's what Tell Me More says is, oh, I'm not done yet. Give me more of you. Let me see more of you.
It reminds me of my dad. He was the chief question asker.
Oh, I love that.
If you came to our house, he would just sit there and be like, what's your name? What's your last name? How do you spell that? Where does that come from in the world? What's your background? How were you raised? He would get
Curious.
so curious. Some people would come out of those questions feeling like whiplash.
There's a balance. Yeah, because I always say, this isn't a deposition. I'm not interrogating them. You're asking them questions.
Detective, retired detective.
Interrogating them. Could you just place your thumb here and here?
But yet, the beauty of it, which is what you said, is people felt seen.
Yeah.
And especially introverted people that aren't used to sharing a lot about themselves. I think it's so beautiful. So tell us how that can help us in the corporate world or where we work, regardless of what it is, how we can be a better leader.
Yeah. And that all plays into everything that in the Relatable Leader as well, is really helping people feel like they matter.
Yeah.
To give some background, I didn't intend to write this book. It was one of those where I was like, oh, shoot, I think I have to do this, because I wanted to research. So I ended up doing a research study around what teams are really looking for, because I was going to use it for a keynote. I got the research back, and it was shocking, because in our world, you have so many thought leaders that talk about leadership, and we're talking about vulnerability and authenticity and kind of these big emotional intelligence ideas. This is how you have to be as a leader. So we think that's what we have to focus on. The research came back as people wanted respect. Respect was the number one trait that every generation was looking for. And I had the same response, to be respected. And to me, I was like, holy moly, we have jumped the gun. And I say this oftentimes, I was like, I felt like we were in my head. And when I looked at it, because it was respect and trust and some communication was at the top 5, I thought, we're trying to build a house on a foundation that doesn't exist. We're trying to build emotional intelligence and vulnerability and often, which are all really important things if you've already established the respect. But you and I both know that people are saying that this is what I'm looking for, typically because they're not getting it. And so for me, active listening plays into that. Like, obviously, everything how we show up can be an act of respect. And if you're not giving that, then people don't feel respected, and then they don't feel connected, and then they leave.